Prosecutors have now said they will dismiss an involuntary manslaughter charge against actor Alec Baldwin in the 2021 fatal shooting of a cinematographer on the set of the Western film Rust. Those special prosecutors announcing Thursday that new facts were revealed that demand further investigation and forensic analysis. An involuntary manslaughter charge against the weapons supervisor on the film does remain unchanged, though. During rehearsal for the movie, investigators say Baldwin was pointing a pistol at the cinematographer when it went off, but he says he never pulled the trigger. However, an FBI forensic report states the weapon could not have fired unless that trigger was pulled. Despite the dismissal of charges, prosecutors also said their investigation is not over and the actor has not been absolved. I do want to bring in Miguel Custodio, a trial attorney in Los Angeles, to talk a little bit more about all of this. Thank you so much for taking the time here to join us.
Thank you very much. Thanks for having me.
Of course. So first off here, your thoughts upon hearing that this involuntary manslaughter charge against Alec Baldwin has been dismissed.
Well, I was actually surprised because, you know, this is an investigation that took 18 months. And in fact, there was additional monies that were requested, I think about $300,000. And this is taxpayer money that was requested to prosecute this case. So it just seems that they didn't have their ducks in a row. And this new information that came about made them pause as they headed to the preliminary hearing, which was like a mini trial to determine if there was enough evidence to go forward with this charge.
So can you break down for me the charge itself of involuntary manslaughter and how it actually relates to what happened there on the set?
Yeah, well, essentially there were two charges, but it was still within the involuntary manslaughter umbrella. One was commission of an unlawful act that resulted in a death. And this, you had to prove there was an underlying negligence. The other one was commission of a lawful act, and this just required them to prove there was something more than simple negligence that led to the death. So it was the same thing. Essentially, it's saying that Alec Baldwin acted in a manner that had disregard, and it resulted in the death. And you know, this was something that in the beginning there was an additional charge, a gun enhancement charge, and that was dropped because they were charging him for a law that wasn't even on the books when the murder happened or the death happened. And so, you know, this shows that they just were not prepared. New prosecutors took over. I think they assessed the entire case and they realized that there needed to be more work done. And even though it hasn't been made public, I hear that this new evidence is regarding the gun that Baldwin used, and it was a modified .45 Colt. And as a result of this modification, it may have led to a misfire. And so I think they have to investigate that. But, you know, what surprises me is that there's the length of time, and this is just coming out now.
And one thing that stood out to a lot of people is when the special prosecutors did say that this is not over, he has not been absolved. Does that mean that he could still be charged with the same thing in the future?
Absolutely. You know, and this is for any criminal case. There's no statute of limitations on when the DA can bring charges on anybody. So it could be next week, it could be next year, it could be 5 years from now. There really isn't an end period for them to bring that charge or any other charge against him if there's new evidence that comes forth.
What role, if any, do you think that Baldwin's celebrity status played in all of this and how this has played out?
Well, you know, anytime a celebrity is involved in a court-related proceeding, there's a lot more media. Every detail is under a microscope. And I think in this case, the DA realized that I don't think they were on solid footing, and every single little detail was gonna just be blasted for everybody to see. And I thought, you know, that they really wanted to make sure that they were on solid ground. And so they decided to hold off for now. Like I really think that there is a chance that maybe he'll get charged down the road.
And are you surprised that the charge against the other person who was actually supervising the weapons there on the set wasn't dropped as well? Or is that what you would have expected upon hearing that the charge had been dropped against Baldwin?
You know, when I heard that her charge was not being dropped, it makes me think that they're going to try to marshal as much evidence as possible in her case and try to see if there is new evidence that comes out that would be incriminating against Baldwin. So I think they're using her case as a sort of a test case to see what would happen if they charged and went to trial against Baldwin.
In your experience, does a criminal case like this impact a civil case that is on the exact same subject, the same matter?
You know, it shouldn't, but the reality is that it does. This is a case that has garnered worldwide media coverage, and so everybody knows about it, right? And so if any of the civil cases go to trial, we know that jurors know what's going on this case, and they know that the criminal charges have been dropped against him. So they probably think, hey, you know what? Maybe there's not that much evidence against him in this civil case, even though the burdens of proof are different. You know, once a juror starts thinking that this person is innocent, then that really skews the trial. So yes, I think it will play into the civil cases, but it shouldn't. But in reality, it does.
All right, Miguel, thank you so much for taking the time here to join us and provide that expertise. Is there anything else you want to add before I let you go?
Thank you for having me. You know, I just want to I'm very surprised, like I said, that it took this long, 18 months, and a lot more money, hundreds of thousands of dollars of taxpayer money. And at the end of the day, we have a dismissal. So it just shows that the prosecution had a very sloppy investigation here, and hopefully, you know, they can get their act together. But it's very sloppy here.
All right. Thank you again for taking the time here to join us.
Thank you.